what happens when everything you build, your business, your dreams, is stolen in a single devastating moment? For wonderful Morrison, this was not just a nightmare, it was her reality. Together with her husband, she built a thriving business from scratch, only to see it nearly destroyed by betrayal from a trusted family friend. In this episode, we uncover her extraordinary journey of healing, reinvention, and reclaiming her power after everything she worked for was taken. How do you rebuild when the ground under you crumbles? Wonderful stories will ignite you to turn even the darkest moments into the spark for your boldest comeback. This is the one you don't want to miss. It's a masterclass in resilience. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on my show. It's my honor and pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I knew we were connected in our first conversation, so I'm really excited to always talk to somebody that I'm in alignment with and to share with our communities like what two amazing women are up to.
Thank you so much for being here. You have an incredible story to share, and I'm super excited to dive in. But before we dive into your amazing story, I would love to know how it was for you to build a successful business as a new mom, and what challenges did you face while building your business. You and your husband have had the business for more than 25 years, and during that period of time, you got 3 kids and 2 grandchildren. Tell us more about the challenges, how that was for you and your family.
You know, when you're young, they always say you're young and dumb, right? You don't really recognize the amount of work that goes into being a business owner. My husband and I were 22 years old. We had had our first child only, and the opportunity came. I'm a faithful person, and I don't believe in accidents. I believe like everything is a reason. And so we were given this opportunity to buy an existing business. 2 years old. And honestly, we were like, yes, let's do this. This would be fun while we're in college. We have a 1 year old. And I remember going to the banks, looking for loans, and they just was like, what? This is not, no, you guys have no history, nothing. Be disappointed. And like I said, I don't think anything is by accident. And the universe and God brings to you what you ask for. We were at his uncle's house one day helping him with yard work, and I was just telling him how, disappointed about our current situation, but I didn't tell him any details. And then he found me crying under a tree. There was this beautiful bench under the tree, and I was just crying, and he goes, "Honey, what's wrong?" And I finally tell him, I'm like, "Opportunity to buy this business. I think we would be really good at it, but no banks will loan money to us. They just think we're silly." Didn't say anything. He walked away and he came back with a check. I don't know if anybody ever uses checks anymore, even knows what that is, but it's a piece of paper that declares a particular number that is used as cash. He gave us a check for the exact amount. It was like $78,000. I can't remember. It was a ridiculous amount. Believe it. I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember him saying with his very stern voice, "I want this paid back in 5 years." And we thought, absolutely, right? That was our journey into being business owners. And what we had was will, determination, and our youth, things that were our formula at the time. And then we were lucky enough to have mentors in the industry we were in and mentors in business, successful businesses. I feel like at the time it was this perfect storm of both my husband and I's towards it, and also the opportunities that were brought to us by the people who are our mentors. And then we just kept raising our children. And two things that I remember very clearly that really shifted our perception of success, financial, business, family success, is one of our mentors said to us, if you want your bank account to grow, you have to grow right along with it. Like a bank account in you, growth simultaneously is where it's at. That sounds easy peasy. No, it's not. And the other one is our business mentor. Always, every time he talked to us, his first question was, "How's your family? Is your family happy?" His whole focus was, if we don't focus on our family's well-being above anything else, we will always pay the price. So those two mentors really got us going on how to build from a foundation of not chasing money, but chasing, I think, our purpose. It all began.
That's a beautiful story. You know, very often when we think like we lost hope in our dreams and there's no way out, there's always a way that universe provides and surprises us in unexpected ways, like your husband's uncle with that check.
Yeah.
And very often when I think, oh my God, I'm going to give up, there's always way and there's always solution to a problem. And I love the story that you share because I think it's a very powerful story about believing in yourself and believing in your dreams when nobody does. And
Yes.
I think it's very important when you start your business, you need first to believe in what you do so that
Mm,
you can convince other people what you do so they can come along with you on your journey. What do you think
yeah.
about that?
There's a book called The Alchemist, and there's a saying in there where he says, when you ask for it, the universe conspires for you to have it. Powerful statement, but it's also such a broad statement. Like, I don't know how it was going to happen. We didn't even, honest to God, we did not know his uncle was loaded. No, he didn't live a luxurious life. His life was just very simple, and we just didn't know that he had the capacity for that. And again, I know I've met enough business owners that mentors are not the easiest find, especially when you're young, right? They don't just come out of anywhere and go, oh, look, here's a business owner. Let's help them out.
You said something that is very important for everybody to know that it's very important what kind of people you have on your side when you build your business, what kind of mentors you have. And entrepreneurship is the fastest self development journey we can ever be on. Things that happen that are things that you could never dreamed of. And we
Yeah.
can all agree about this because, you know, life takes us on unexpected ways. It's a roller coaster journey. Sometimes you have a highs, sometimes you have a lows. And something very tragic happened to you. Your business was stolen by a trusted family member. Trusted family. And it was a very tragic moment for the whole family. Can you share the moment when you find out about that your business was stolen? How did it even happen?
So, mind you, at this point, we had been running a business for 20 years and it had been very lucrative and successful. We had multiple locations, it was a brick and mortar. We had multiple other streams of income that how we created our financial wealth and was able to both my husband and I did not have to go get another job. We just built our business to financially support our family. We raised three kids, the whole thing. You know, they say that your greatest pain is from people who are closest to you. Like you hear that and you know it, but you can't really imagine it happening to you. Or the way that I always saw it is it's going to be a family friend or somebody I know, but like maybe 6 degrees separated, not immediate to me. I had gotten sick. I was diagnosed with hyperthyroid, and really, I was like 2 weeks away from having heart failure. My husband was also in a really big legal battle. And I think the universe at that time was just saying, hey, it's time to pump the brakes and slow down. Well, how's that going to happen? We've been running it ourselves we had employees and we had people that helped, but we had been the primary people of our business. A family friend, I consider her a niece, 'cause she'd started with us at a really young age. Like she lived with us, she took care of our children when they were younger. I really considered her, we had a really close relationship. She was like a little sister I never had. She had finished college, she was out in the workforce for a couple of years, and she said, hey, I'll come help you guys help. And she knows the business, she grew up with us, so she understands a lot of things that the business needed. So I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Absolutely. Thank you. Still, the universe is conspiring for me to have it, right? I just felt such relief. And so for a few months, we started walking her through all of the daily operations, right? We would bring her with us to the bank, use her, say, like, when we're not here, she's the person to represent us, right? We gave her all the information, ladies and gentlemen, all the passwords, all the usernames, all of the accounts, the whole thing. She had never shown any kind of betrayal in the past, none whatsoever in the years that we knew her. I hate to admit this, and this was been a really hard part to share the story. 2 months in, I felt in my gut something was off. I'm a good listener to my gut, that spirit inside me, that intuition. Not been very good at listening to it because it had betrayed me a few times before. I just thought, no, that can't be true. And I didn't share it with anyone. One day I went to our physical building to check out the business. And then I went to the bank that same day. The banker who had known us for 20 years was like, see you here. Why are you here? Basically. And I thought, why she asked me such a weird question? Why am I here? This has been our bank for 20 years. And she told me that this young lady had come in and closed the account. But we didn't know about it. She hadn't told us. Wait, what? But in my head, I remember thinking she probably just wanted to put it someplace safer, right? It's an excuse I'm using in my head because I just can't even wrap my head around that this was really happening. I thought there's got to be a real good reason. That you know what? That's right. And I tried to save face. I was like, I forgot. Got you're right. Okay, thanks. Bye. Walk into my car. I remember thinking, man, that gut got bigger there. It'd been kind of this small space, but now it's bigger. And then I went to our building and the doors were locked and my key didn't work. Then it really hits me like it's so much bigger than I thought. I don't even know. I can't wrap your head around it when it's happening because trying to survive by saying, I think it's just your imagination, while another part of you is the reality of what just happened and what's happening. Home and I was sitting in front of our house and I just started crying because I thought, there's no way, with all the things happening, all the things, there's no way that this is happening. And it was. The next day, we tried to grab so we also owned the building that our businesses were in, and we had a little like a corner lot. And so we thought, you know what, we're going to just get our stuff out of there because although the building itself was of value, what was inside the building also had value. So we thought we'll just get everything out of there because we had another location that we could put it in. She had gotten a restraining order against us. There was no forewarning. There was no, like, she was mad at us. She had been yelling. There was no fight prior to. There was absolutely nothing that could prepare us that this was happening. And my heart was so broken. Like, I think this is the first time I'm sharing the story where I don't feel like crying because I have really been doing some healing around that forgiveness of that young lady. I was out of my mind, heartbroken. There were so many emotions. I honestly can't even put words to it other than heartbroken. That's from every aspect.
That that was really tragic experience for the whole family. And I think what hurts the most is that that person grew up with you. She was inside your family. She knew your family. She knew your business very well, and you trusted that person with lives of your kids because she also took care of your kids.
Yeah.
And very often when we go through the process of things like that, very often we choose to ignore that somebody could betray us because
Mm,
because we love them so much, we trust them so much, and we would never do anything bad to them. And that's why it's so hard for us to even believe that somebody could do this to us because, as you mentioned, this person grew up with you and your whole
yeah.
family. She was part of the family. And now when we turn back, and of course, when we had this tragic moment, when we turn back, we realized, oh my God, there were so many red flags that we ignored.
Yes.
What are the red flags that you ignored, even though they were present? And yeah, tell us more about that.
Whenever you're like doing personal development, growth, or any type of when you're reading books, one of the first things that always you come across is like, what are your values? What do you hold close? And are you living by your values? And I've done that exercise plenty of times, but I didn't really see it with the world that was happening around me. So one of my deepest core values is family. A majority of people say that, but truly, a majority of my decision is based on the dynamic of my family and how I want my family to exist in the world, to be the contributing people of our societies. So this has been in me from a very young age. Even movies that I'm attracted to and environments I'm attracted to, that is a core value. And that's when I knew that I wasn't paying attention the red flags because I could already sense value system with her family was falling apart. So as a young person, the reasons why she was so welcomed into our family is because our family dynamic was really strong. We were very close to her parents and we communicated really well as two families caring for this one human. Was a particular situation as she got older where her father sort of disowned her. And I should have caught on. Father just tells their child, like, I'm over it when they were very close growing up, right? It usually is a pattern of long term discord. But no, it was like they were very, very close. And then all of a sudden, he just cut her off. And so I knew I wasn't willing to look at it as it was something she had done. Oh, no, her parents, she's a teenager. They're just terrible. I didn't know. That should have been my first warning. And be, I want to be really clear here. That is my value system. I think when we pay attention to our personal value system, the very core of who we are, and those are the people that start to show up that's going against that value system, that's when we pay attention. I did not to those red flags. And then the way that she was talking about people she loved, like her sister, people that she had cared for and loved and had admiration for, she just started talking very ugly about them and gossipy. Should have been another clue that something was happening inside that if she was willing to do that, I'm pretty sure she was willing to do that about even blood related. Attention to my core values. Like that is such a huge red flag for me now. Just how secretive she was. How she was living in our house, but she wasn't sharing information. One day she was there, one day she was moving out and didn't say anything. That already tells you something right there. I should have already seen like, oh, we've been so close. She just moved out. I came home and her stuff was gone. That's a sign of something else is going on. And while she was in college, we were very close when she was in college. I should have also seen the signs then. The people she was choosing into her life. Cliche, right? Us parents were like, oh, be careful who your kids are friends with. Oh, give them the benefit of the doubt. No, our gut feeling knows. Our gut knows that that is not a good person for your beloved child. And she was that to me. She's somebody that I loved so much. And I kept thinking, why is she hanging out with these people? Early, I just was not willing to look at it. I wasn't willing to look at the red flags of her secret life and her people that she was bringing into her life. That was not part of her normal character of people, her falling apart relationship with her father, the way that she was talking so ugly about her sister. These were signs based on my core value I should have been paying attention to. So,
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that's a really valuable lesson for everybody who is listening or watching. like to pay attention to your core values and like see how your values align with other person's values. That's the first sign. So we don't have to have the whole business being stolen from us to have somebody. We can have somebody on our team that could cause a lot of damage. We can hire
Yeah.
an employee that can cause a lot of damage. And it's not the question of if it's going to happen. It is going to happen. But the question is when it's going to happen. And
Yeah,
we
that's
want
good.
to also prepare people for things like this. When we hire somebody, or when we bring new partner on our team, or when we like collaborate with people, what are really specific things we need to pay attention to before we start working with somebody? Can you share your experience?
I hire somebody now in my online business and sounds in sort of not in the way that professional LinkedIn people would qualify hiring people. But as a founder and leader of your creation, what I've realized more than ever is who I am, whole place. If business is based on two major things, relationships and a contribution to the world, they're not based on numbers, money, P&L reports, right? Balance sheets. Those are based on the human that's bringing it to the world, the person that brings it from idea to concept to implementation. If we're not working on ourselves, like be seeing in the other person, if it's true that like attracts like, right? Where then who are we attracting? And I realized that in my forgiveness work is I was attracting a pained human because I was in pain, really good at doing. The reason my husband and I had massive amount of success in our businesses is because we were the right formula of hard work, willingness, drive, grit. We were the perfect formula for that, but still not dealing with our inner turmoils of our upbringing, of our pains, of our sufferings. And like you said, it's not that it's not going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. And I think in hindsight now, because that's been about 8 years ago, is that my pain was showing up. If you're wanting to build a very financially sound business that's sustainable over long term, like IBM style, right? Years and years and years and years, ship within that is really at the core, all of the things. That's why I think huge companies hire leaders who are well read, well spoken, because they have to do a lot of internal searching, internal healing, internal work, right? Like the greatest CEOs, they've written books about their emotional well-being and with their struggles and all these things, and you're like, no way. That, but I didn't practice that. If you want your business to grow, you must grow too. And growth isn't just about how to be a better human, but I think growth also is facing and confronting the places in ourselves we don't want to. My long-winded answer to how you hire people, because energy matters. Energy will always matter. It'll never be taken over by robots or AI.
Yeah, I agree with that. I always believe that the universe shows us what we need to heal. And that's a really powerful what you said, that very often, even though we think we heal parts of us, there's always part of us that needs additional attention and needs more healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's life of business owners. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you need courage to lead your business, but you need also courage to face your fears. And
Yes.
that's a really something that not many people want to look at. And very often we stand ourselves in the way, and you really
Mm-hmm.
cannot grow if you don't heal parts of you.
Yeah.
I realized that very soon at the beginning of my business. I was so afraid to post on social media. I was like, oh my God, I cannot do this. Like, made a huge career shift. I was a marketer working for Fortune 500 companies. Then I started doing healing. And I was like, oh my God, what people are going to think about me, or my clients. Oh my God. And then I realized the only person standing in my way is me. If I want to build a business that is going to touch thousands of lives, I need to overcome myself, my own fears, my own doubts,
Yes.
my own limiting beliefs. And it wasn't easy. And there are still parts of me that need healing, but it's a lifelong journey. And I really want to go back to the business side of running a business.
Mhm.
Looking back, what steps do you wish you had taken to protect your business from this kind of betrayal?
We don't get into business with lofty ideas of like, oh, it's going to cure anything, right? I think we get into business with, especially at 22, with the desire to make an impact in our community and to create income. So, from a tactical perspective, income was what we were always focused at. Like, how do we create profit? How do we do this? But the other thing that we knew is our family was really important. So how do we integrate it and family and not, people first, profits after? And I think that's very intentional. You have to be very intentionally routined in how you drive business because there's so many decisions you make as a business owner on a regular basis, every single day, all the time. If you're How we brought it to light is our family was so important that that's what we were driving at all the time. How are we making decisions? Because my husband's a natural athlete, and our business could have gone, we were in the health and fitness industry, and it could have gone in this whole competitive arena, which is a lot more solo focused, yields just as much financial wealth, right? Because if you keep building your name and you get to like the Olympics, of course, there's endorsements and but if we didn't have young kids, that would have been a smart way to go or a good way for us to go. But we did. So it was really important for us to decide like what we were going to get involved in terms of how to build our business with that idea of we're going to bring our family with us, right? So in that tactical space, for us, it was really important to know the logistics of business, like balance sheets, profit and loss statements, taxes. Oh my gosh, taxes, non sexy fun stuff. Be a part of it. That's the human part of how much of it can it be us and how much can it be about bringing people in to buy your services, to buy your products. Is this balancing act too much into one thing and too much into another thing, right? If you're only chasing money, that's all, everything else gets ignored, only about the family, then you don't make the decisions that are important to grow your business financially. So there's so many things, and this is why when you said earlier owning a business is the biggest personal development out there, that's true. One of the first things we did is we in our budget we included personal development, like here's all the bills we have to pay, the lights, blah, 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 personal development. It was part of our investment. We didn't know, right? Our emotions are being ran by our past, our trauma experiences. We didn't know how that would be. So we started in the 90s. And at the time, it was a statistical truth that businesses only last 3 years. Like banks are looking for you to give them a business plan based on a 3-year projected income because that's the length of, and the business we were in wasn't a demand, it's a extracurricular activity, right? We had to really figure out how to be the energy force in the world and also make money doing it. And there's always the balancing act is constant. Figured it out, like, oh yeah, we figured out that this is how you make money. You're constantly pivoting and changing and evolving and That's why when that word pivot came out and during COVID, I thought that's such a funny thing because that's a constant thing in business. You're always rearranging, redesigning, right? You're working everything out. And I like to make things I'm very clear head. Like I like clarity and I like structure. So for me, it was really important for us to have things that we could follow, things in small increments. And this was before I even went to business school to realize that this is an actual thing that businesses do, is we broke up all of our strategies per quarter. So that way we could see how it moves, right? And then pretty soon we figured it out. We're like, oh, okay, there's a wave to every business own model, and every model has its own like wave of how it moves. So health and fitness, there's the low time of summer. Who wants to work out during the summer? Nobody. And then there's a high time. It's right during the winter into January because it's a New Year resolution. So we had to build it in a way to understand all of the actual tactical things in business. And then there's us, the human version.
And you mentioned something that is really important. That's why I want to emphasize this. Having a structure in your business is a foundation for your growth, for your business success. Because
For sure.
not only having a structure is going to help us to day-to-day task, but also help us protect our business from ourselves.
For sure.
Because very often we sabotage our business. Very often we subconsciously do that. We don't even know that we are doing. And
Yeah,
that's why it's really important that we have a structure to protect our business from ourselves. Because when we get emotional, like this is not a good way to make any decisions.
yeah,
And like it
for
can be
sure.
really, really damaging to the business you have. I want to talk a little bit about your healing process. You had so much to heal. There was a lot of healing involved, and just walk us through the steps you did. What was the first step you took when you realized everything was stolen from you? And how did you rebuild yourself?
Yeah, but I kind of want to go back to the last question because I don't think I answered it in terms of protecting ourselves is tactical format of business. It's important to also recognize that your one business can yield multiple streams of income. And in those multiple streams of income, each one has to be its own entity because the way that we were able to not we lost everything as in terms of our big business, the one that made us the most money. But because we set up our other businesses with other accounts, we're protected in that area. And so I just wanted to say that like you have to still treat your business like a business at the same time as you being a human being. Then brings us to the healing thing because I have a tendency to respond to anything warrior in me that has been there for a long time, and I learned this from a doctor who is a recall specialist. Always in us, that's kind of an energy is what she said. And she says some people have longing energy, right? They're longing for things. And what do you think your energy is? And for as long as I can remember, I had a fight in me, a little fight in me. Not like a sanctioned fight. Like I'm not I wouldn't get in the ring to box people. I mean, I have done those things, but it's not a natural thing that I enjoy. I'm not a natural like sport competitor. I am much more fighter survivor at my core. And it was I learned that way of living from my father. He was a hostile man and he believed that, how we are in the world has to be very rigid and ruled. I want to paint a picture there because when this whole betrayal happened, I remember thought, this is so painful. I do not know what to do with myself. Feelings were so big. They were just miss, like eating you alive like from the outside I kind of looked normal, but on the inside there was giant monsters that were just eating at me every day. Okay, well, how have I seen other people deal? Let's start with alcohol. I'm just gonna drink myself until I can't think. Well, I wasn't very good at it. Gosh, that's not working, right? And I thought, well, I'm just going to bury myself in the sand and go find a job where I don't talk to people. I just, like a warehouse. Work out either. Kind of like at a loss. I didn't know what to do. And I went to a networking group, and this lady, she called herself a healing coach. What is that? I'd done therapy. I paid for therapy for years, again, about my father. It wasn't as useful for me because I didn't like to talk about my personal stuff. So we'd just sit there, you know. So it wasn't as helpful for me. And I didn't realize at the time doing therapy that that wasn't the only way to heal. That's how that's what you see, that's what you know is go to a therapist, that'll help you. It wasn't as helpful for me. So this healing coach, she was like, "Hey, I have this intensive weekend healing thing. Do you want to do it in person?" And I thought, "Gonna try anything." Oh my gosh, I don't think I've cried so much in my life and shared so much of the things I didn't want to share in this very intimate space. And they too were sharing their intimate space. And I remember just feeling so nervous. My story. I only shared about what I'd been working on in therapy, talking about my dad. When you ask for it, the universe shall bring it to you. Through that, I met another woman who was like, "Hey, let's go weekend retreat." And I thought, no, I don't want to. That was a lot. She loved me into it. She just kept seeing how I was. And mind you, I had not told anybody anything at this point. And I'd done therapy and I've done personal development courses. I have done the things, right? But this particular heaviness in my heart was very fresh. So I would go to this weekend thing, and there's 10 other women, and the end of the first night, she said, "We're just going to share with each other in this." Shared the deepest thing ever. Like, it was deep. I thought, God, there's no way this is what it's going to be about. This is terrible. And then the second person shared a really deep thing too. And I thought, me, I wanted to run away, but I didn't drive there where I was. It was like, oh gosh, I'm in the worst place right now. I'm having such massive anxiety. I want to literally throw up. Fifth person down the line. And the person right in front of me that was sharing was just in tears. And she just let it all out. I should add is I didn't know any of them. I'd only known the one person that brought me, and I had just met her like a month ago. So things happen in spaces you can't even know or control. Then something brave happened inside me as she was crying. I thought, if these four women ahead of me felt that they had the courage to share their deepest pain, who am I? Who am I to not do that? Came to me, I took a deep breath and I just spit it all out. I puked it all out. And I remember thinking in my head, if these women look at me with disgust or like, God, you're so dumb, or how did you let that happen? I would be validating my own negative self talk. Stopped talking. I looked up, and the woman right across from me was like, her eyes were just staring at me. He said, "We love you, and all things will be restored." And then that woman next to her got up and hugged me. Oh my gosh, thing that go to things like that, right? Therapy is very isolation. It's you and another person. I didn't go to group things. I didn't entrenched in my business. I had not really experienced sisterhood like I had, because the sisterhood that I had betrayed me. So I didn't have a trust towards sisterhood. And then that happened and it started the floodgates. So I tried everything. I tried Tapping, fabulous. Reiki, yoga, all of the things. Then I became obsessed with how do I get rid of this pain? Worked, right? I even did some positive intelligence. I did anything that was like healing oriented. I'm in. I'm going to do this. Final straw was this time last year, November of last year. I came across a forgiveness coach. I'd known her for a few years. Said, hey, is something you'd like to try? And I said, you know what? Get out now for 5 years. I've done all the therapy, I've done all the coaching. I can do this. This is just one last thing. That was a whole different ball game. Forgiveness, I think, is at the pinnacle of all things, right? So I did all the tapping, Reiki, the whole thing. Also, my personality. Start off by saying I'm a warrior. Like and not just like mentally and emotionally. I also hold, second degree black belt. Like I'm a fight person. I don't freeze or flat. I fight. My natural inclination to healing has to be very in your face. How I am. That's how I navigate the world. So all the other things part of that was just this sort of like, oh, look at that one layer off, one layer off, one layer off. And forgiveness was very confronting, extremely confronting. That so her process is called radical forgiveness. There's a book out, there's a system to it. Was extremely confronting and very raw. It took a few months to really understand that the person who betrayed me, I always wanted to be like, Jesus, where I could sit at the table with Judas thing, which I'm like, that's never going to happen because I want to punch everybody in the face, but aiming for. And when I got into this forgiveness work, I realized that her pain was hers. It wasn't mine. She wasn't doing it to give me pain. She was dealing with her own pain. It was a reflection of my pain. That hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much more to my healing. This isn't end. This is the actual beginning. Interesting because I was in a transition in my business. I was going through this. I don't know if this is what I want to do anymore. I had been helping women realize their business growth, scalability, all of the information and expertise that I had grown in as a business owner and going back to school for it. I wanted to share with women. I wanted to share in their business, but I didn't love it. Passion, but I couldn't admit it. Here we go again with wonderful not being able to see the red flags. And I took some time off. And what's fascinating is then I met you. Me one day, you're like, wonderful, and that I'd really like you to give a try. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll give it a try, right? For me, call the title right now. Can you help me out with that, Nina? It's a woman. What
Healing
was it?
woman.
What's it? Healing woman. So mind you, I'm in the process of forgiveness, and then I come across you and you share this healing woman. The question of what am I passionate? What do I love? What do I want to contribute to the world truly? And it actually didn't have to do with the business that I was doing. It had to do with me. It had to do with me sharing my story that I don't want to share. I didn't want to necessarily, this wasn't my intention is to get on a podcast and share the depths of my pain and, all of that. But it's what is required for healing the woman, right? I've been wanting to talk to you about that and share with you what I got out of your program is really now the outcome of my business. Needs version of us, necessarily the things I know up here. Difficult, what I know up here.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mhm.
I think the hardest thing we can do in our life is truly become who we are meant to be and live it. That's the hardest thing because we are reprogrammed to be a perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect business owner, perfect
Yeah.
employee, whatever you want. It's just like, but when I'm going to be me? It's like,
Yes.
I just want to be me. I just want to be happy. And I think for many, many people, that's the hardest thing to do. And to be honest, for me, it was really a big deal because I was working in marketing, doing amazing things. Then I became a healer. And I always thought I have to separate these two identities because
Mm-hmm.
this is how you're supposed to do. Healing has nothing to do with marketing, and marketing has nothing to do with the healing. And but then I realized this is not going to work for me because I was
Mm-hmm.
trapped between these two worlds,
Mm-hmm.
feeling lost between two of them because it was not fully me. But the moment when I embraced who I was and who I am now, everything changed for me. My business changed,
Yeah.
everything, my circle, like friend circle, like partner circle, everything
Mm-hmm.
changed. Because the universe wants you to be who you are meant to be, and the universe will support you to live your life purpose and share your gifts with
Yeah.
the world. That's why we have these amazing skills,
Yeah.
and we just need to overcome ourselves. Yeah.
You said the most powerful statement is embracing who we are. Because I think the journey of all of the experiences up to now, with the deepest pain I experienced, was was it to give me heartache, wasn't to break me down, wasn't to, like crumble me into pieces. I think it was trying to say, you need to be you, like all the things. And what I realized too is through my forgiveness work, and then when I did your program, it was like a revisit, is that no, how to be healed. We can know we know all of the jargon words, right? We know all of the language. We've read all the books. I love to gain information, but knowing it and being it are not the same. They're not the same at all. So if you truly want to protect your business, grow the most amazing business, and be financially set, stop just knowing stuff. You have to be the very thing. I didn't really get it, right? Like I understood. I know, like everybody knows a lot of things. The very thing, what I think the healing woman is trying to say is, yep, I have enough information. It's time for the transformation. What does that really look like for each of us? We're all different. For me, the healing process is sharing my story. That's what I got out of it is, well, what is woman? Somebody who's forgiven everybody, somebody who's feeling whole in themselves. Also about giving it back, to start a podcast and a YouTube to share my story, to help women. I don't want to share their dirt. That's the very thing.
Yeah. You said something that I want to go back to because I think it's very important. All these life lessons didn't happen to punish me, it's to teach me something. And what I really love about all my experience that I had, I always see my ups and downs. I see them as my biggest gifts. Because of that experience, I developed my gifts to become who I'm meant to be. And very often people focus on the negative things, so the whole experience. But I love, really love how you embrace that experience and
Yeah.
find a new meaning of your life and really rediscovered who you are. And that's a
Yeah.
really big thing.
Right. Because I think that's we all on a journey to come home. We're
Yes.
all on the path to get home. And what I've realized is in that journey, a man named Joseph Campbell wrote a thesis from all of the around the globe, hero stories. He called it a hero's journey. I think that the ultimate goal to bring us home is to have realized that it's all a lesson. And then that is the very energy that you are, all of it comprised, right? All of it rolled into one becomes this love, this compassion towards, I think I could get there because I was in so much pain. I was in such heartache. I just wanted to be angry. I wanted to be angry and spit fire and, just cause havoc in the world because of that's what my heart was feeling. I is now that only way to get home to me is to have healed that and then give that healing back, right? Because healed people heal people, just like hurt people. Healed people heal people. But I also think there's this missing element in our world where healing becomes a little bit on the toxified level, where we're just spitting out heal, heal, heal. I think there's another process of transformation that we have to be that, it's like that butterfly thing. Like once you're in that cocoon and you're doing all the healing, there's at some point it's a crack, is what I would call it, counted in numbers.
Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story. Thank you so much for your inspiring words. Thank you so much for everything what you do. So, thank you for sharing your transformation. So, I really want to know what new wonderful it tends to do with her life now.
Structure. I like plans. I love goals. I love vision. Those are all a part of who I am. Next thing for me is to let go of the life I've planned and to walk into the life that's meant for me, for a personality like mine. Know things three steps ahead. Go of that and to just allow life to happen with me and for me is an intentional thing every single day. So every single day, it's quite interesting. When I finished your program, I decided, okay, I'm going to restructure my business and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to start giving my voice breath. Well, what does that mean? What do you mean your voice needs breath? And I'm like, we all have a voice, but not all voices carry, right? Like when you think about opera singers, their voice has incredible breath from their diaphragm. Go to karaoke and you're thinking, oh my gosh, thank goodness that that's not their profession. All of our voices need a particular breath that is unique to them. I realize that that's my calling now. That's the life that's waiting for me is where is it going to go? How does this look? So I already had a podcast. It was called The Evolution of the Fempreneur, and it was catered more to women in business because that's who I'd been working with for the past 5 years, and that's who I am. I'm a fempreneur. Now that I'm in this midlife stage, and so much healing and so much from the inside out, redesigning and reinventing and restructuring my entire podcast. And I started a YouTube channel called Her Truth Revealed, our midlife era, because I feel like there's too many of us about betrayal at a deep level and experience firsthand deep pain and suffering, and we don't really have access to each other to talk about it, right? Is what's next for me. So I call it my business unbusiness services or programs or courses. I just want to share with the world the new breath that I have given my voice to platform.
Thank you so much for the work you do. I know I believe in my heart that you're going to change a lot of lives, thousands of lives.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the work you do. Thank you for everything. I think it's going to be very inspiring. We need people to share their experience and to share lessons learned and gifts we got from that experience. It's not always tragic moments, it's also we also gained some gifts that changed our life forever. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for being on my podcast. And one last question before we wrap up this interview. I really want to know, what advice would you give to young, wonderful 25 years ago?
What advice would I give my younger self that I would actually listen to is her to let go of control. That control is a wasted amount of energy and it is an empty investment, pull you down versus lift you up. And to really just, and not, okay, I don't, maybe I should say that a different way. It's not about letting go of control. It's about understanding the illusion of control. Like I want to tell myself control is an illusion. It's a facade. It's not real. It's a made up thing because you're afraid. And I would tell myself to find a way to let go of my fear and then to give that illusion of control to where it belongs out in the air. Because as I learned that now, told me that so many years ago, I would have been like, huh, how do you know I want control?
Thank you so much for being here, Wonderful. Thank you for the work you do. Everybody who is listening and watching, please connect with Wonderful. Thank you so much for the work you do. Thank you for the healing you're going to bring to the world. And everybody else, keep shining your light. Be brave because the world does need that love and light inside of you more than ever. I'm sending you lots of love and big hug. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.